You're listening to the Feed You podcast. This is episode 15.
Welcome to the Feed You podcast, giving you the real scoop on raising your business to new heights. Expert education, inspiration, and motivation to fuel your purpose, your passion, and your profits. Here's your host, Elisa Connor.
Hello, and welcome to the Feed You podcast. This is Elisa Connor, and I am your host of the show. We are on episode 15. Woohoo! I am so excited that this is episode 15, and I'm even more excited to talk to you a little bit today about how to plan out 2019. I've been kind of focusing on that for the last few episodes, and I really just want to get you prepped, ready to go, give you all the tools that I can think of so we can start off the year with a bang and be ready before everybody else is. I think a lot of people wait until January to get their productivity ready, to get their plan going, and I really am feeling pretty adamant about sharing with you guys the tools and tips and techniques and tricks that I've come up with after all the many years of being an entrepreneur that have worked, the ones that haven't worked, but just really getting you prepped and ready to hit it hard in January so that you're using your time in December well. I know a lot of us have really busy end of years. I'm one of those people that has a really busy end of the year, but I find when I take that time, even if it's the time between Christmas and New Year's, that 1 week, and just really taking half a day or a couple days or whatever works for your schedule, and really just sitting down and planning out, like, what do I want to do next year? Where do I want to go? And what makes my heart happy? I think a lot of times we get into this mindset of doing what we think everybody else wants us to do and doing the things that other people are doing because they look happy doing them. But we don't really necessarily want to have that lifestyle or have what's going on in their life that accompanies that whatever perceived wealth or success or whatever that looks like. So with that in mind, I wanted to take this episode and give you some of the planning tools that I use, that I have really seen good results using. And these are tools that I have either used over the last year or the last few years, and really have found the benefits to be excellent in keeping me on track, keeping me productive, and helping me reach my goals. I used to be one of those people, I'm going to confess, one of those people that would have this whole list of goals. I would go to these seminars and I'd write down all these really huge, big goals, and then I would never do anything with them. And I think a lot of us get pulled into that mentality, especially in January. Oh, we're going to lose 50 pounds. Oh, we're going to do this. Oh, we're going to do that. We're going to make $1 million in our business, whatever it is. But then we don't sit down and create an action plan to make any of that happen. If you want to lose 50 pounds, what are you going to do? Are you going to give up eating carbs 5 days a week or 6 days a week and start exercising and, all of the different things that go with that? Are you going to hire a personal trainer? Are you going to join the gym? Are you going to try to run a marathon? What are the actual steps you're going to take to lose that weight? And more importantly, why? Why do you want to lose the weight? Now, something like weight, 50 pounds, you're probably like, okay, well, I want my clothes to fit better. I want to not breathe hard when I go up the stairs. I want to be able to play with my kids. I want to have better heart health. I don't want to have extraneous diseases that occur as I get older. I just want to feel better. I want more energy, whatever that is, whatever those why pieces are. When you're creating these goals, I want you to write down your why for every single one of them. Because if you're not really invested with it in some part of your deeper being, the goal's not going to happen. As much as you try, as hard as you work, if you're not fully engaged and fully into that goal, you're not going to reach your goal, and you're not going to have the success you want to have because your heart's not in it. So that's my first tip, is to not only write down your goals, write down why you want to reach those goals. And then together we're going to talk a little bit about how to create an action plan and how to set the steps in motion. And some of the tools I'm going to talk about actually are wonderful for this. So the first one that I've utilized, this is now my third or fourth year using this planner. And I'm going to tell you a story because I actually use a paper planner, and I'm going to tell you a little story about this and how I always used a paper planner. I don't know if you all remember Franklin Covey or if they're still in business. I don't know. There's so many planner companies. I don't even know if they still do that. But I always had a Franklin Covey planner. I went through the classes through one of my previous jobs, and I just really liked the system and I really liked the planner. I'm one of those people that it really helps me to increase my creativity and to come up with new ideas and to document, all the stuff going on in my head. So having a paper planner enables me to do that every single day. And it was funny, as I started to do some research about this, which I'll get to in just a minute, it seems I'm not alone. So let me get back to my story. So I was at a networking event, and this is when I first started networking, one of my very first networking events. And I was in a BNI group, and I remember that I had my paper planner for my appointments. Now I do most of my appointments in my phone because it's easier, but I actually do my work planning in my paper planner, which I'll talk to you about in a minute too. So I had someone come up to me, and at that point I was teaching social media and I was doing social media implementation and stuff like that for different smaller businesses. And I had him come up to me and go, I don't know if I trust somebody to do my internet marketing if they still use a paper planner. And I really was like, what? And so I let it get to me and I was like, okay, well, I can switch everything over. And so I switched everything to my phone. Let me tell you, what a huge mistake that was. Huge. It works fine to track my appointments and to keep me on time for things, but every time I picked up that phone, I was distracted by something else. It was an email, it was a text, it was a phone call, it was a notification about something on social media. And you can shut off as many of those as you want, but every time you get on that phone, you are distracted. Every time you get on an electronic device, there are so many distractions. And let's just face it, we're human. We do not have the ultimate willpower, most of us, to be able to ignore all of those distractions. So why put yourself in the position of having those distractions to begin with? So that's my first point. And it was funny because as I started to do some research for this episode, and I was just looking up, the difference between using a paper planner and using something on your laptop or your device. And I ran across all of this different research. And one of the pieces that I came across was a study they did at Princeton and also the University of California, Los Angeles, where they were studying students who used laptops versus pen and paper when taking lecture series in college. And what they found was that those who used laptops had substantially worse understanding of the lectures and tested worse than those that didn't. And on top of that, they also distracted the other students around them with their laptop. And so there's something about the pen and the paper in our brain that connects and helps us remember better. It helps us understand the information better. And it is very, very interesting to see how much more I accomplish doing the system that I've created for myself with a paper planner than on the days that I do not. So I challenge you, if you're not using a paper planner, if you're not using something that you actually write in, whether that's a journal or, an actual developed planner, to try it. Just try it for 30 days and see what happens with your productivity. That being said, I have 3 different tools that I use. I actually have more, but I limited it to 3 because these are the 3 that I am very consistent with. And the first one is my actual planner. I use the Danielle, I think it's Danielle Laporte or Laporte. I don't know how to say her name, so sorry if I'm saying it wrong. But Danielle Laporte's planner, which is called What I Will Do to Feel the Way I Want to Feel. Now, there's several reasons why I really like this planner. And yes, it's totally girly, so if you're not a girl, it's kind of touchy-feely, and so you may not love this one. And if you don't love this one, I have some other recommendations for you at the end of the episode. But I really love this one because she starts it out right away with you creating your perfect year, not only for 2019, so for next year, but also into 2020. And you just sort of journal about what you want your goals to be, habits that you're going to create, rituals that you're going to do. So that can, and by rituals, I mean, you could be, meditating every morning in quietness, or you could be going to a yoga class, or you could actually be doing Bible study or prayer, or whatever ritualistic thing you want to continue doing every morning, or evening, or something that's going to help you get closer to your goals. And then I love that she has in here that you set your intention, which I'm going to talk a little bit deeper about in just a minute. But your intention around your goals, and also write out your goals. And then last but not least, she has a section in here that is a note to your future self. So when you're writing that to your future self, what are you feeling? What are you experiencing? And what does it look like now that you've reached your goals? So I love that because it's putting you already in the present of reaching those goals. So one thing about intention, and I'll talk a little, I have an actual tool that I use for intentionally starting my day. And I usually set my intention not only the night before, right before I go to sleep, but also the morning before I start anything else. So I wake up early, I meditate every morning between 15 and 20 minutes. It just kind of depends on the day. And during that meditation, towards the end, I actually sit down and set my intention for the day. And that intention can be very simple. It can be, I want to experience more joy today. I want to be able to serve more people today. I want to have better conversations with my children today, whatever that is. But I just pick one because it gives my brain something to focus on, and it's always positive. So clearly setting your intention after you've created your goals, it's one of those little micro steps that we often forget. But when we take that micro step and we set it, our brain goes nuts and they're like, woo, I know what to do today. And it somehow magically works. So let me get back to why I love this planner specifically by Danielle LaPorte. Every day you get a whole page. I buy the daily. I don't know what the weekly and the monthly look like. Because I need one for daily because I just like to write things. So if you like the monthly or the weekly, that might work better for you. I don't know what they look like. I really like the daily. And the way that she lays it out is she gives you, it's a little bit different this year. So typically she would give you a journaling prompt. I'm not seeing those in this one this year, but her journaling prompt seems to be the same every day, which is, what will I do to feel the way I want to feel? Which is really pretty important because it goes back to what I initially said. If you aren't in alignment with what you want to accomplish and the goals you want to reach, and your heart isn't in it, you're not going to get there. So that's at the top of the page. And then the schedule is totally blank. And I love that because it enables me to fill in exactly the time frame I have that day and the time I've blocked out, the focused time I've blocked out for myself to accomplish specific tasks. If I've got appointments that have to be integrated in there, I've got the opportunity to fill that in and how long I think that appointment will take. And then what I really, really like about this is she gives you a section that is your to-do list, and it's really 3 items because most of us can't accomplish more than 3 items in a day. And if you're like me, you try to accomplish the world, and then at the end of the day, you are deflated because you didn't get anything done. Well, if you break down your tasks into 3 specific items. So for example, I'm doing podcasts today. I'm recording podcasts. So one of my 3 goals was to record 3 podcasts. And then the next goal was to edit those podcasts. And the third goal was to send the transcripts off to the transcription company so that I can have the podcast transcribed. those are all pretty doable. So when I reach the end of that list, I'm like, woohoo, I have done it. I got my goals done today. And then there's extra lines if you have extra things to do that you can stick on there, but at least you feel like you've accomplished something rather than create an internet business in one day. That's not going to happen. It's just huge and there's no parameters around it. So I really like that she lets you map out, the three simple things you can do every single day. And when you reach those three simple goals every single day, you've not only accomplished your daily goal, but you are making strides to accomplishing your bigger goal. She's also broken it up this year, and I really love the way she did this, where you write a little sentence for each of these 4 areas. One is about your body and wellness, and she has a prompt every single day. So the first one starts on December 31st. I'll just read you a couple so you can have an idea. And it says, I will nourish my body, ... And then you fill in how you're going to nourish your body. And so she's got the little journal prompts set up in these specific areas. The next one for the first is my body helps me ... And so you just write a little phrase in there. What this does is makes you aware of what's going on in your body, but it also helps you to practice gratitude. And I'm a huge fan of gratitude. It is one of the best ways to propel your business. If you missed that, I just did an episode on that in November, and I can link to it in the show notes. But it's a great way to propel you, your energy, and your business forward. So the next piece she has is your devotion area. And people get a little wigged out when you say devotion, but really your devotion area is just, what are you going to do to propel the spiritual side of your being? And that can be, it doesn't matter what religion you are, it just, whatever works for you, how are you going to move yourself forward in that area? And so one of the prompts she has for that area is my meditation will be ... And if you don't meditate, you can change the word to prayer, you can change the word to positive thought, whatever you want to do. But I love that she puts it front and center and makes it a priority, because we are all very much physical, emotional, and spiritual beings. And so we have to take care of all of those pieces. And you notice that she's doing that with this planner. So the physical piece was first. We're talking about body and wellness. And then she dives right into the spiritual piece with devotion. And then the next piece that she has, she's always had this in her planner, but you list out the things that are not working. So if you're working 18 hours a day and it's not working for you, you write that here. And the power in that is that you're writing it down and you're naming it and you're making yourself aware of it so that you can change it. And then that's the next piece is, what are you going to stop doing? What do you need to stop doing so that you can get the life you want, you can feel the way you want to feel, and you can reach the goals and find the happiness that is in your heart that's behind your goals. Last but not least, on the daily sheets, she has a place for you to write your gratitude. And I love that she added another piece this year that is not only writing down what you're grateful for, but she added a simple phrase, which is, I'm grateful because. And so you write down your gratitude of, I'm grateful for heat in my home. And then the because just adds one more thing in it. So because I have a home and there are many people that do not. So it puts perspective in it. And I just love the way that she's laid this out this year. I love this planner. And then at the very bottom, I send these quotes to people all the time, but at the very bottom of every single page, she has some sort of inspirational quote or spiritual quote or just something that is uplifting to help you get through the day on a positive note. And then at the end of every month, so this planner is just beautiful, you guys. I wish I could show you a picture of it. Maybe I'll snap a picture and just show you a couple of the pages and stick them in the show notes. But it's so awesome because she does a wrap up at the end of every month. So she'll ask you questions like, what is really working? What didn't work? What do you need to change for next month? Where did you get on your goals? What do you need to do to move forward? And it's really nice to have a little wrap up at the end of the month to see what you got done, because you probably got done way more than what you think you got done. And this ties a nice little bow on it and leads you down the path to what you need to accomplish next month. And the nice thing about having a paper planner is that if you're like, I don't remember what I got done, you can actually go back and look at all the pages, and then that helps you fill out this wrap up for the end of the month. It's not as easy to do that on a phone unless you take copious amounts of notes, which I do not. I don't have time. But I've gotten in the habit. The other thing I do is fill out my planner the night before. Sometimes I'll do it first thing in the morning, but I've been trying to do it the night before because it makes me feel like I'm starting off the day without being behind. So it only takes me maybe 5 to 7 minutes to fill the whole thing out, and then I've got it ready. And the days that I do it the night before, I am much more prepared and ready to take on the world, and I know what I'm doing, versus I kind of, I don't know, lollygag around a little bit when I don't get it done in the morning, and I'm like, oh, I can just call so-and-so and I can have an extra cup of coffee, and I don't feel as organized and ready to start the day. So that is tool number 1. Again, it is called What Will I Do to Feel the Way I Want to Feel? And it's by Danielle Laporte, and they're beautiful. I'm going to take a picture so you guys can see the front of it, but the planners are really beautiful. And she does have a plain black one. So if you are a male listening to this and it's not your favorite, she does have a male or a black one, so you can probably get away with it, but it has some really good juicy stuff in it. The alternative to this one that I researched that I have not used, but I've had several people recommend it to me, is the Panda Planner. And it is very similar. It has a place for gratitude. It has a place you can map out your schedule, and has some really good tools in it. I don't have the inside scoop on that one. I have not used it because I'm pretty much in love with mine, but it is also less feminine. So if you're looking for an option that is less feminine and you don't resonate with the Danielle Laporte visuals or the name of it, then you might want to check out Panda Planner. So my next tool that I utilize, and I use this one every day, is a tool that my friend Terry Cardula created to go with her book. And Terry was an interview, oh my gosh, can't remember exactly what number, but I will link to it again in the show notes, but talked to us about EFT, which is Emotional Freedom Technique. And she does a lot with emotion that's trapped in your body. She's a certified she's a therapist and has a therapist practice, but she also does coaching and training and works with people in different group situations. But she has what is called the Daily Intentions Planner, and I love this thing. I'm going to show you a blank page when I put this out, but you basically have a blank page, and I think I love it because it has circles. I know it's nuts, but I love that it has circles. In the center circle, you put the date, and I'll see if she has a sample in here. But this is where you really lay out your intentions for the day, and you actually lay them out per quarter. So these are quarterly, but she has in here a sample. So you put the date, however you want to write it, in the middle. Okay, so at the very top, you get to write down 2 intentions that you are asking the universe, higher power, God, whoever you want to ask for help to achieve. And you just put them down. By putting them on paper, it makes it much more powerful, both for you, for your brain, but also for the universe, because you've now not only set the intention in your mind, but you've put it on paper. And to make it even more powerful, read it out loud. So, like, for example, she has in here, she wants to create a dynamic and abundant business and publish a book. Now, I'm not sure when she wrote this, but she did publish a book, and she has a very dynamic and abundant business. So both of those intentions have solidified for her. Now, what I really like is that underneath that, she has an area where you can put in a reward. And I love that she puts in here, and there's an explanation at the beginning of this little book that says, we don't reward ourselves. And so how are you going to reward yourself? Just for being you, not for accomplishing anything, not for doing something significant, but just because you are alive and breathing on this planet. How are you going to reward yourself? And it can be something very simple, like I'm going to have a Ghirardelli chocolate today. I'm going to go on a walk. She has on here, she's going to have lunch with her friend. So I really, really like that the mentality and the thought process behind that reward piece of this. And then in the middle, there's a big circle in the middle, and then there's all these little circles on the outside. And so you write the date of that you are focusing this intention on. So for me, I do it the night before. You write the actual date in there. You can write it out. You can write numbers, whatever you like to do. And then you create an intention, which is just a little bubble of intention around that day. And so the example she has in here is she wants a sign of hope. And then the next piece of that is being. So how are you going to be? How are you going to show up in order to receive that intention? Well, her being circle is optimistic, because she wants to be optimistic so that she can achieve her intention. So I really like that. And then the following circles are all things that you want to get done that day. And so I typically fill in 3 work goals, which match the goals I put in my planner that I want to accomplish, and then 3 personal. So maybe I want to go on a bike ride, or maybe I want to make something nutritious for dinner, or maybe I want to go to a yoga class, or I want to meditate that day. Whatever there's 3 for me, and there's 3 for work. And sometimes there's familial and other, friends and family stuff that's mixed in there, but I put those in the me category. And then underneath that, at the end of the day, so you'd be setting this up for the next day, and so you would actually fill out for the previous day on the previous page the evidence of your intention, like what showed up as evidence, because the universe will provide you evidence of your intention. You have to just look for it. And so her evidence for a sign of hope was field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. Well, yeah, that's pretty hopeful. So that's pretty awesome. And so you fill that in as your evidence. And then the last piece, of course, is gratitude. And you write gratitude that you have for something that may have happened throughout the day. And so as you can see, I sprinkle gratitude in many different places throughout my day. So again, this is the Daily Intentions Planner by Terry Cargilla, and I will have links for all of these in the show notes. But the last one is, it's called the Mastery Journal, and it's by John Lee Dumas. And I'm kind of a John Lee Dumas junkie. If you know anything about me, he's one of the reasons that I started my podcast to begin with. And I have gotten to meet him a couple of times. He's really a cool guy, but he's just one of the people that really got me started on my entrepreneurial journey. And he has this, and he also has the Freedom Journal, which are both really, really good. And I have them both, but this one is specific towards productivity. And it is a way for you to monitor how productive you are and make improvements over time for 100 days at a time. And so what I really like about this is that you also do this the night before, and it's labeled day 1 through 100. And then every 10 days you have a recap again of what you've accomplished, what you succeeded at, things you need to improve on, all of those little things. But each day you fill out your morning routine, and then you have a desired start time, and then the actual start time you fill in the next day. And then you have a desired end time and an actual end time. And then guess what? One more time, I am grateful for. So you have a lot of opportunities to be grateful. I really think you should have at least 10 things every day that you're grateful for. And I try to come up with something different in each and every one of these, because there are so many things that we take for granted that we can be grateful for. And then he also starts off every day with a motivational quote at the beginning and a place for you to write the date. And then he gives you the opportunity to fill out what I would call them power hours or power sessions, but what you're going to do during the 4 focused periods of your day. And those time periods can be anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour to an hour and a half. I would say probably not go longer than an hour and a half, because you need to have focused breaks in there too. And if you aren't familiar with focused sessions to accomplish work, they are amazing. It is when you shut off your phone, you shut off your email, you shut off every notification you have, and you pick one thing that you're going to work on to move your business forward. and you work on that for whatever amount of time you've allotted for that. And so you write down, and he recommends 4. Sometimes I only get 3 done. It just depends on my schedule with my kids, but 3 to 4. And you write down the amount of time you're going to focus. You also write down the amount of time that you're going to give yourself a refresh. So that's time to just get up, walk around, and they should be somewhat equal. I usually give myself 20-25 minutes to refresh, because you have to give your brain a break too. And then you write down, what is the main focus for this session? And then when you're done, well, one, he makes you set a timer. I really love one of the tools he recommended. It's called Focus at Will. And it is specific music that has been studied to increase your productivity. I can also put that in the show notes, but you can set the amount of time you want to work on your timer, and it will play music. And then it does this nice little ding at the end of your productivity time, and you know that your session is over. Well, at the end of that session, you write down your main accomplishment for that session, and then you give yourself a score for productivity and for discipline. So were you really disciplined and really worked on it? What percentage? Like 20% or 90%? And then the same goes for productivity. It's scored 1 to 10. So that will keep you on track, so that when you get to the next session, if you're like, oh, I kind of lollygagged around because I was hungry and ready for lunch, so I'm giving myself a 2, then you're, for session 3, you're probably like, okay, I'm going to really hit it now and get busy because I've had lunch and I'm not giving myself any more excuses. And then at the end of that, you add up all your scores, and it will give you your average for the next day and for your 10-day recap. And then at the very end, he has ways that you can list out improvement for each day. So one way I can become more productive, you write that down. One way I can become more disciplined, you write that down. And then I love this. Today I'm most proud of, because it's important for us to take a minute, and even if it's just like, I'm proud that I sat at my desk for 4 hours, it can be something very simple, but reward yourself, give yourself grace, and be proud of what you've accomplished, so that it gets you out of the mindset of comparison. And we all take those god-awful compare-schlager shots, especially when we're on social media, and we don't really know what the people that we're comparing ourselves are going through, who's on their journey, and what their experiences are. So this helps keep you grounded. And then the last piece that he has in here is to fill out your morning routine for the next day, and then one goal that you want to accomplish. And so this is a great, I don't want to go too much into it, but it's a great tool. It's a little, well, it's not horribly expensive. I think it's around $30 or $40. I'd have to look it up. I can't remember, because I just buy them because I love them. And then the 10-day recap, you go through every 10 days until you get to 100. But I really like that it keeps you on track for being productive, because we can often waste time. Like, we're going to a networking event. Well, do you have an intention behind that? Do you have a reason you're going? And if that's part of your focus time, then what are you getting out of it? Like, what did you walk away with? And what are you going to do with that knowledge that the person that you met, are you going to follow up with them? Are you going, what is your plan of action? And it keeps us very intentional about everything we do, and very aware of how we're spending our time. So those are my 3 tools. This has been such a fun episode for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and that it's helpful for you, and that it helps you at least have some ideas of ways that you can move forward with planning your 2019. And I didn't get too much into breaking down goals, because I'm actually going to talk about that in January, I believe. And so again, I'll put the links for all of the different tools in the show notes, but there's tons of tools out there if you don't like these 3 specific ones that I use. But there are tons and tons of other tools out there that will help you stay in alignment, set your intention, and really focus your time so you can be productive and you can reach all those goals that you have for 2019. And it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to take a lot of time. It probably takes me a total of 15 minutes max to do this. And I do it every day, and it just really helps me organize my thoughts, organize how I want my day to go forward. And I can really, really tell the days that I don't do it. I'm a hot mess. I'm not going to lie. I'm just a hot mess. I don't get anything done. I'm just kind of dawdling around. I'll be on the phone. And it is so easy to do that as an entrepreneur that then at the end of the month, we're like, oh, I'm no further along. I don't have any more clients. I don't have any more leads. I don't have, I haven't written my book. I haven't launched my course. I haven't grown my business, whatever it is. It's because you haven't focused your attention, your brain, and your time. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope you guys like this episode. If you do, I would love it if you would rate, review, and subscribe, and also share it with a friend. So until next week, we will be talking about practicing self-care, because if you can believe it, it will be the day after Christmas. Holy cow. This year has just flown by. So that's coming next week, and we will be talking again about self-care and how to take care of ourselves and how to be kind to ourselves and how to have grace and compassion for ourselves. So thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you all next week. Have a wonderful, wonderful week and a very Merry Christmas. Thanks for listening to the Feed You Podcast at www.elisaconnor.com/podcast.